halfway through book 6. Spoiler talk time. All right, so the first half of this book gave me a lot of moments between Chuening and Moron, which is good, but also means I'm gonna have my heart ripped out here in the next half of the book. Just like, it's just bound to happen. FYI, everyone, this one has a lot more spice and a lot of more kisses and confessions through one of these moments, other than the fact that I was taken out of the story a little bit when Moron called Chuening babe, which was weird, but okay. We finally get it, and I love you between one of them, so that's great. Chuening definitely needed to hear that, because throughout some of the moments together, Chuening was self-loathing again, where he was like, I'm old, I'm boring, I'm not as good looking as Shime, and like, bro, we need to get you a therapist. Also, we're just gonna throw the ages thing out the window, because like, honestly, how you gotta calculate the age of a 30-year-old who went back in time into the body of a 16-year-old but still had the mentality and probably the soul of a 30-year-old. And then Chuening technically didn't age when he was dead for 5 years. So again, debate on which one of them actually is older. I'm glad that Moron basically told him, is like, no, I actually really love you. Babe, I love you. I don't really see how you could be this much of a dummy, because I truly care about you. And of course, Chuening's fucking shy as hell. Like, when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, they're moving so fast. But like, for Moron, it's not moving fast enough, because he's already wasted an entire lifetime. So this is like the time he wants to do it right, which is why Chuening is a little self-conscious, because he's like, I'm not skilled, I don't know what I'm doing, he probably doesn't like me, he thinks my technique is terrible, and he's like, no, it's just because I was a little bit of a shithead the last time we did stuff like this, so I just want to make sure that everything's okay. Which is great and all, sweetie, but like, seriously, communication is key in any relationship. And I'm just like, you probably need to keep talking, because like, they're talking to each other because they're adults, so that's good. Speaking of communications to keep relationships healthy, fucking Shime needs to learn his place, because like, he's complaining that Moron doesn't want to spend time with him a lot, because he'll be ignored for Chuening. He won't be like, they won't sit next to each other, and it's just like really petty ass little shits. Like, when they are out helping the villagers get settled in with the refugees, during the dinner service, Moron obviously is offered to help to cook and to pass out the food and stuff like that. Chuening sitting at a table with mild flavored food, and then Shime's obviously with the spicy food, because Shime actually likes spicy food. Probably the only reason Moron even actually likes spicy food was because of Shime, and he's passing out food. And this is where you can tell the difference between who pays attention, who doesn't. When Moron goes to Chuening's table to hand out the food, he tells him, the food's gonna get cold, you need to sit down. Shime just thanks him for the food and continues eating. That to me shows me that Shime never actually gave a fuck, like, at all. Like, you're not even offering to help him just to put out the food or anything. Granted, they probably like, oh, Moron would never accept her help anyway, so it doesn't matter. I was like, yeah, but it's still the thought that counts, you know? The villagers put on a performance, and Chuening and Shime don't like it. They think it's boring and pathetic, so they just want to leave. And, you know, Chuening asks Moron his opinion on it, and Moron just talks about how it's, you know, oh, you know, when I was a kid, they did that performance too. He never says, I want to stay and watch. He never does, because he never really tells people I want something, because he's not used to that yet, which again, therapy. But Chuening does. Chuening can tell just by the tone and his face that he actually wants to stay and watch it. So he says, no, let's just stay and watch. Shime's like, but we're gonna be late if we stay and watch, and like, it's already like kind of dark, so we should probably go. And he's like, no, we're gonna stay and watch. And Shime's like, okay, whatever Shizun wants. But then secretly, like 30 seconds later, he gets stuff spilled on him. So he's like, I'm just gonna go. And he just leaves. So I'm just like, again, you didn't actually try to see why Chuening's making you guys stay. But Chuening finds out later how Moron tried to eavesdrop during this performance before when he was a child in like an opera house or something, and the owner would always chase him away before he can get to the ending of the play. And now that he got to watch the ending of the play, he's like really happy, and he tells Chuening this, and like, I'm just like, somebody pays attention to the person they love versus someone who doesn't fucking care. Shime literally treats Moron like he's a backup plan in case like his life goals and like actual relationships that he wants doesn't work out, that Moron is always going to be there, because it's like, he loves me too much, he's never going to ditch me. And now that the feelings aren't mutual anymore, he's confused. And all of this kind of culminates into an incident that happens later on back at the actual sect, because Chuening needs to go into seclusion for like 10 days. Obviously, the disciples take turns watching Chuening, and then Moron is too excited to be away from him that he goes and just, you know, a little bit early. And he sees Mei with something silver in his hand, and he instantly freaks out because boy has trauma. with Red Pavilion. He hates this place. No good memories from this place. So anyone actually would have set him off. He even tells his cousin later on when he asks the question, because his cousin's like spying on him because he's thinking that maybe Chuening and Moron have like a thing going on, but he's not like 100% sure because he's like, it's Chuening and his cousin, like there's no way. But he's a sweet summer child. And then Mei gets upset that, you know, Moron would even assume that he would stab him. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like 50% I was like, I mean, like, I would have assumed you would have gone a little dagger because you're jealous. He says he's not petty, but he fucking acts like it. And then, of course, later on, Moron wants to apologize for all this shit. And then Mei brings up all of these fucking things that I've told you about. Like, you ignore me, you don't want to sit next to me, you're always just paying attention to Shizun. And I'm just like, okay, for those 5 years that Shizun wasn't a problem in between your relationship, might I add, what the fuck were you doing? Because later on, I find out that Shimei said to Moron, we're family, okay? That to me means no way in hell we're ever gonna have a relationship. Like, he family zoned this boy when they fucking met. Also, he called them both orphans. Moron is not an orphan. He has blood relatives that you are literally serving, basically, because they are the cultivation leaders. My bad. Sect leaders, you know what I mean. I think Shimei was just spoiled by Moron, because Moron really loves to spoil those he loves the most. And he does it for everyone. He even does it for his cousin, okay? And, like, this comes into play later. But his is, like, acts of services. He really does. Once he loves hard. And Shimei never really kind of appreciated that. He just expected Moron to always be there. And I'm just like, you never fucking tried. Because, again, every single relationship needs two people to keep it open. Mei never fucking tried. Mei never once actually tried to keep the relationship open. He complained that Moron never wants to spend time with him. I was like, have you ever actually tried asking him to spend time with you? Or did you just assume he's going to fucking read your mind somehow? And that it was going to be all hunky-dory like he used to, because he was basically a puppy in love. So I'm going to compare this to something in my actual life, all right? So I have a best friend who doesn't live anywhere near me. He's like states away, all right? I call him my best friend. We don't talk a lot. We text maybe every couple of months, depending on what we're feeling. Okay, we have that kind of relationship. I know for a fact that my friendship with this boy would end in a heartbeat if I stopped reaching out, and that it means stop sending him birthday cards and stop sending him Christmas cards, because he never once actually tries to keep our friendship still a thing, which is not as sad as it sounds. It's not sad as we have a really weird friendship. We've been friends since like we were 15. Okay. It's been a long ass friendship. Our friendship is completely different, but like we still kind of try. We still update each other on our lives every once in a while. I feel like fucking Shimei didn't even try that much. And my friend does like the bare minimum, but so do I. Kind of like, I send cards every twice a year. Like, come on. The fact that Shimei is complaining about this and not being close, I'm just like, you never tried. You never asked. You didn't even ask what he said back then, 5 years. You didn't ask. It was only until you realized that he was getting away from you that you started to bug and ask. Like, you never cared enough to ask. It's kind of funny how that relationship is kind of deteriorating, and like Phoenix and him are actually like getting closer to the point where during a drunken little situation, Phoenix tells Moron that he considers him Gug. And that shocks Moron. Like, I will show you the shock in his face. He is so fucking shocked. Do you fucking see his face? He is so shocked that Phoenix considers him a Gug. Moron is just going through the roller coaster of relationships because he's so harped on to Chuening because he finally got what he wanted, which was the person that he loved reciprocating his love back. And I'm glad that Chuening at least still pays attention to Moron and gives him what he wants, but he also gets spoiled back and forth. And that's really cute and all. But drama's about to hit the fucking fence. Because of course we got Beowulf and Mulan bringing up news about fucking Tangerine and his plans. And I'm just like, great. The next half of this book is definitely gonna make me cry. Because the first part was really good with Chuening and Moron's situations and stuff like that. Which means we're gonna get our heart broken. Okay? Yeah. So... wish me luck on the next upcoming part of this book. I don't know. God, I hope I don't cry too much. Bye. Finished book 6? Spotlight talk time. So I did tear up a little bit near the end of this book, but I didn't really cry. So that's a good thing. Can I also say that I feel that Moron is justified in his tyrannical behavior in the other timeline. As in the other half of this book, we follow Mulan and Beowulf that come to the sect to basically tell people information and somewhat rest because they're basically on the run because the other sect leaders are essentially hunting them down for power. Honestly, that's all it is. Makes me kind of mad how all of these sect leaders are trying to say we're getting like justice and revenge and all that because they're to blame for everything. And I'm just like, no. So what Tangerine and Silvertongue did to the cultivation sex of the world just basically aired how fucking disgusting all of you fuckers are. You know, the whole 10 great sex of the cultivation world. It's a piece of shit. When a bunch of like ghosts and spirits and demons and everything were attacking the common people, they fled to these great nine sects for safety because, you know, cultivators, they fight this sort of thing. And these motherfuckers locked them out. They didn't care about the commonwealth or the people or anything. And it makes me mad how they claim to be doing everything for the greater good. And I'm just like, no, you're doing this for fucking power, which is any political entity in the fucking world. There was a scene in here where we flash back to Moron's childhood when he first got back into the family and the sect and everything. His uncle took him to see a trial by one of the greater sects who are, you know, related to gods and were holier than thou and all that bullshit shit. There was a lady on trial. Apparently, she took the place of another woman who was supposed to marry this really rich man, and she set fire to the house. Obviously, she ended the lady's life so that she could replace her, so that she could get close to this family. They didn't really tell you why she was on trial. It just said that she wanted revenge on this family, and she set the house on fire and just basically ended them. And I want to know, what did this family do for her to, you know, react this way? Because the only other time we saw a ghost or someone attack an entire family for something is because they were fucking shitty. Like, again, there's three sides to every story. His, hers, and the truth. And all I heard was that she set him on fire. And I'm just like, I know it's kind of really fucked up. It's like she just murdered him. It's like, sometimes there is a reason and sometimes there's not. And it was just the fact that they said she wanted revenge and they never showed us. And then it just basically became an entertainment for everyone there who were trying to be like, oh, we're mad that she ended this family and everything. Like, she murdered her husband. And then they started saying seriously fucked up things. I don't even want to repeat one of the so-called punishments that one of the people in the crowds was even saying. And they were like sharks in the water, right? They were ravished and they were saying so many horrible things out loud in the open in front of everybody. And Moron over here, being at 15, was seeing all this evil darkness and seeing that all these people were monsters. Which made me think that later on, once he started going a little mad from making these like chess pieces that essentially fed off his energy, that also might have made him a little mentally unstable, and he literally thought Shime was the only good person left in this world after his mother being, you know, deceased. It just made me think like he was falling and falling and falling because he literally had no lifeline. I don't know why his aunt and uncle weren't considered a lifeline. And he never thought his cousin was a lifeline, because now in this timeline, he does consider them. Because like when he was thinking about the most important people, it was that his cousin and him were getting along to the point where his cousin has called him Gug multiple times now. Not to his face, but like when he was like spacing out or something, just to bring him back. He has Chuening as his lover, and he's really happy about that. Shime is still alive. That's all he cares about now. His aunt and uncle are healthy and well. That he literally lists 5 people that are important to him. And it's just, when he had that flashback, he was literally fighting between his past life and his current life. It just made me think, to protect himself, whether physically or emotionally, because he's seen the darkness of all these people, like he lived on the streets, he became a bigger monster than all of these people are. Because at the end of the day, majority of these people are nothing but fucking monsters. And it's when he's having this little self-doubt and everything, because he just found out that the main bad guy definitely is 100% reborn, so he knows who Moron was back then. He tried to confess to Chuening everything, but he was so fucking scared that he literally started crying, to the point that Chuening was really worried for him. And he was like, okay, you don't have to tell me. Like, this is clearly upsetting you and making you a little mentally unstable. Let's just stop. To the point where he literally engages a kiss to like, just stop. Just stop crying, because I don't like seeing you hurt. Because Chuening has a really soft spot for Moron. I don't know if Moron will ever confess to Chuening that he might have been a terrible person in another timeline, but it was all the things happening to him that just made it worse. I don't know what made this timeline different, other than the fact that he realized that Chuening actually gives a fuck about him. That just like changed his whole perspective, which is really funny in like butterfly effect kind of way, where it shows you the smallest things that people can do can make someone not be bad. So in the back of this, it really does say the calm before the storm, and the ending was essentially Moron and Chuening messing around. And it is goofy. I want to see if I can find you the illustration page of what what happens. I don't want to show like too much, but like focus on Moron's fucking face. He literally, they gave him a dog's tail and like ears because he was goofing around. This is literally after he literally almost had a mental breakdown. So his emotions are kind of flip-floppy, and the two of them being so dependent on each other, basically they're like their safe spaces, is great and all, but also it's giving codependency vibe, and it's kind of fucked up. I'm hoping that eventually they get to regulate their emotions to the point where they're not solely dependent on each other to be happy. I don't know if it is, because Chuening is a people pleaser and Moron is more extroverted but also kind of dumb and only cares about the people that truly treats him well. So I don't know. This whole thing kind of made me a little angry through the other half of this book. Like the moments between Moron and Chuening were great, but it was just everyone blaming Beowulf for like, they believe in the sins of the father is the sins of the son. I don't believe in that shit. Like, he is a victim. He's a sacrificial lamb, is what Moron called him. And it's true. Because, bless little Phoenix's heart, he doesn't understand, like, why people do the things they do. Because he still sees the world in, like, a pure way. And him being, like, in his 20s and still thinking that way made Moron kind of happy that his cousin was still, like, innocent. Because in his other timeline, that was not the case. So, yeah. I have no idea what book 7 is going to bring us. I'm hoping that the sect leaders get what's coming to them, because again, I feel like Moron was justified in offing a lot of people, because from what I've seen, they're not really that good. I'm hoping he survives and we don't have to bring anyone back to life. I don't think we can at this point, but like, we never know. And I hope that the great 9 sects of the world fall apart. Like, I'm sorry, I don't think you need to be anything. It's like in Heaven's Official Blessing, where all the gods were pieces of shit, and when, you know, they kind of destroyed it, I was, like, kind of happy because it was justified, because they are pieces of shit. So, it's the same fate, like, when it comes to this. There are some that are good, mostly just Mulan and Beowulf. Like, they're probably the only other good cultivators. There is one cultivator, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think he was the Playboy, but then he didn't become the Playboy, which makes me think, like, what's with the switch of personality? But it's whatever. I feel like he might have something to do. I don't know. They bring him up and his personality is not the same, but like, he's good. So I'll spare him. I'll spare Moron's sect because it doesn't seem as shitty. But all 9 great sects, like, fuck you. Like, I hope that you get destroyed, because you don't deserve pity in my eyes. So I know that's harsh, but I don't care. Bye.